Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We're doing the Auric programming allergies, which is the blend allergy support. And again, we're working on the energetic mold or blueprint that physicalizes not just the energies that linger out there, but patterns. You could call them thought forms, you could call them all kinds of things. But basically, it's a manifestation of several different aspects in the aura making a particular pattern that eventually physicalizes into the body, the emotions, and mind. And here we're talking about allergies. So, I think everybody knows like hay fever and mucusy in the springtime, but sometimes allergies can be even in the wintertime, especially if they're molds or things like that. It could be food allergies, it could be skin allergies. A lot of times it can even just be that the body is in an agitated state and we become more allergic. Like one time I had been, as an example, I had been exposed to not just poison oak, but the roots of poison oak, like in the wintertime. So all the oils kind of go down into the root. And let's just say it was a very bad experience. And my body had gotten so toxic from that exposure that when they gave me medication, because I'd be taken to the emergency room, eventually, like within 24 hours, I think. And the medications they gave me, I I had a very bad allergic reaction to the point where um, I passed out, and they said I had like a little tiny seizure, right? And I went through, cleaned that up. I was pretty young. I was like 20 or 21. And, did a lot of work with allergies, like the stuff that we talk about, quercetin and, some of the herbs and things, but real heavy on quercetin and real heavy on cordyceps. And 6 months later, I was again given some medication that was very, the same thing. Um, might have been a similar circumstance. That's another story, but um and no reaction. And I'd over the years had been exposed to that medication from time to time. It's just a very common everyday thing. And never a seizure, never allergic reaction. And so allergic reactions actually can fluctuate. Even if your body is in a very allergic state, it doesn't mean that that can't change. Sometimes it changes for the worse, but if we do concentrated efforts, it can change to something significantly better. And, I would say also allergic reactions, we have an idea of what that is. But in the body, even when you have like colds and flus and your nose is really running and just yes, there's a bacteria, yes, there's a cold, but some of the mechanisms are very similar to an allergic reaction. And we're the ones that gave it the term. The body is just going through a process that we go, is this an allergy or not an allergy? You see it for what it is, and you're like, ugh, gotta turn down that faucet that I'm calling my nose right now. Or, some squirrel's been stuffing stuff up in my nose and it's packed with something. Like, we got to be able to turn those things off. And same thing goes with weird food allergies and being sensitive and having periods where you're not, and then maybe you are again. And you know we want to be able to keep improving the health of the body. And even when we're in toxic environments where the energy is significantly lower than like our vibration, you know, um, it can actually start to cause an allergic reaction. And, you know, well, it's a long story, but like I did do a research project with 102 patients on allergies. And, a lot of it was the treatment, but we were also looking at potential triggers. And for some individuals, not all individuals, for some individuals, the trigger wasn't an allergen like how we would think about in, being grasses or trees or pollen. It was toxic environments. And, we treated those very similar to allergies, but we made some slight adjustments and we were able to reduce the allergic reactions in even those individuals. So this idea of treating the Auric program for just what we would think of as like springtime, there's a lot more to this than just springtime, or when you get your hay fever, or maybe you get a little dry eyes or something, right? I would do this one from time to time. This is an important one. Like, I mean, they're all important, but this, especially for just your overall health and well-being, definitely an important one. So with that, pull out your blend, allergy support, and we're going to do the standard approach. And again, we're going to start with the left side of your body. You're doing the whole left side, from the left side of the face and neck, your left shoulder, left ribs, left hip, all the way down the outer left leg to the left outer ankle. Oh yeah, I really like this blend. Remember, it's like Naoli and blue tansy. Might even be a little bit of mint in it, I think. There's a couple other things too. Yeah. No wonder. It's what? Yeah, cool bait. Now move your awareness to the face, throat, chest, abdomen, down the whole front side to the tops of your feet. Yeah, Rosalina. That's what it is. I knew there was like some. The right side of your body, right side of your face and neck, your right shoulder, ribs, down the outer right leg to the right outer ankle. And then the back side of your body. Whole back side, back of your head and neck. All the way down to your heels. And then just pause. Pause and be still. Okay, now we're going to start the advanced approach. Again, we're starting on the left side of your body. So left quadrant being the left side of the face and neck, the left shoulder, down the ribs, the outer leg, all the way down to the left outer ankle. Now we're doing the back side. So back of your head and neck, your whole back, your hips, down the backs of your legs, all the way to your heels. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Then the right side of your body, right side of your face and neck, your right shoulder, the right ribs, down the outer leg to the right outer ankle. And then the front side of your body, your face, throat, chest, abdomen, down the fronts of your legs to the tops of your feet. And then just pause and be still. And then make it. Mm. Yeah, Samantha was saying that the first way, right? The standard way felt a particular way, but then doing it in reverse felt very different. It's much deeper. Okay, so now we're taking the next progressive step, which is your awareness is on your knees. Now you can just do the back of your knees, or you can do the front, sides, and back of your knee. Like your awareness is just on the whole knee itself. Whichever one works better for you is the one that is best for you to do. Like if it's easier to visualize the back, do that. If it's easier to hold your awareness on the whole knee, then do that. Your awareness is on your ankles. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on the ankles. And then the soles of your feet. And then pause. Pause and be still. And just being still. Let's do the 4 quadrants again. Left side of your body. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. The front side of your body, your face and throat, the whole front side, your chest and abdomen, your pelvis, down the fronts of your legs to the tops of your feet. The right side of your body, the whole right side. The back side, the whole back side, back of your head and neck, your whole back, your hips, down the backs of your legs, to the heels, the back of your feet. You're pausing and being still. Just pause and be still. Yeah, like you went really deep. Now let's do the last piece. It's about physicalizing this new energy and purifying the old that's physicalized into the energy body, into the brain, into the spine. So you're inhaling, your awareness is on the brain. Your awareness is on the spine. Your awareness is on the brain and the spine, both at the same time. Your awareness is on the brain and the spine. Your awareness is on the brain and the soles of the feet, both at the same time. As you inhale, move your awareness up above your ankles a little bit. As you exhale, down into the earth. Then just pause and be still. Just let it incubate here for a moment or two. Your eyes are closed. Just let go. Feels nice, huh? Here's the thing, like, it's we were kind of talking about it, like as we were doing the process. It's really a very simple blend. It's like I think four oils, and the thing is like when you go through and you do this process, you feel like, oh, this is so kind of relaxing and it's like kind of rejuvenating, but at the same time it actually makes your body stronger. And if you look at even just what's in the blend, granted the blend is made to do the process, and just inhaling the blend isn't just like this magic bullet. Working the process is what really helps to produce a result, especially over a period of time. But when you look at the blend, there's a lot of an oil called Naoli. Naoli is in the tea tree family, and it's very antiviral. It's very anti, allergen, or however you want to say that. It's good for allergies. Um, but it's also like strengthening and invigorating to the body, especially when it's been depleted and worn down from, life or illness or constantly being overstimulated and agitated. And then there's blue tansy. And blue tansy, again, also calming and soothing. That's relaxing, and it definitely calms down like allergic responses and triggered responses and things like that. Then there's peppermint, and not very much, but just a little bit. But again, the peppermint is to jumpstart the body's processes to like functioning properly. And then there's another oil that we talked about last week and very, very briefly called Rosalina. And it's a plant that comes out of Australia. And all those Australian plants have like a certain vibe or a certain like vigor to them. They they all kind of have like this same like attitude or this same drive for like survival in the body and things like this. And the thing that's nice with Rosalina is that it really calms down and helps to regulate neurotransmitters in the body. And if you're looking at like the idea of the body being out of whack with allergies or being overstimulated or whatever it might be, you have all these different aspects kind of compiling into this process. But even to the point where we try to go through and look and treat the neurotransmitters just to calm and stabilize the body. So it just has this cascading effect through the body. And watching Samantha, like, she's not having allergies right now. She's not having anything, we have a very busy schedule right now. And so I would say, just bam, 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 bam. We're just constantly going from one thing to the next. And, you know, smelling these oils, you wouldn't think like, oh, this is going to knock her out. Yeah, we lost her there for a little while. And it's just because it's so resetting to the body. It's just like a reset. And it might not always be about allergies, is I guess what I'm trying to say. Sometimes when your body is just like agitated and just, ugh, um, I've used allergy protocols to treat like insect bites, bug bites, wounds that wouldn't heal, and not because there's allergies, but again, how we define it in our mind isn't always like how the body does things. And the body's like, you call it whatever you want. We're still doing what we're doing. Right. And so, a lot of times that's why I try to like let go of the labeling of things and you just kind of watch and treat. And I don't know. So anyway, I want to throw that out there to you, and you can share experiences and unmute, and maybe for just a little tiny bit, we'll do more programming, and then we're just going to do any questions here in just a few minutes. So, we'll go into Q&A. So unmute yourself, type in, go ahead and fire away.
And definitely keep it to shares first and then questions about the process, and then we'll do our regular Q&A after. Go ahead, Priya.
Hey, Priya.
Hello. It was very soothing, relaxing, but to me it also felt like a pain relief.
Would
Some
you say like a pain relief? Oh, interesting. I actually I say that, but I get that. Like I could see that. It wouldn't be my first thing in like just in my mind to go, oh, top 5 things to help with this. But if you look at pain, a lot of times there is some sort of agitation, and especially like the sciatic nerve in the body. Like if you have sciatic or sciatic neuralgia, basically anytime the sciatic nerve gets irritated, it has immune cells on it, and it actually will elevate the allergic response. And so pain can do that, and it doesn't always have to be physical pain. It can be psychological pain.
That's
So
what it
I
felt like.
wouldn't have thought that at first, but now that you say that and I talk it up, yeah, I totally get it.
Like I had no physical pain, and
Uh-huh.
but it felt like there was some kind of pain that was soothed, and it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
a very nice feeling. So thank you.
Yeah.
I did
Why
not
don't you
expect that.
do it for like the next week or so? Like, why don't you do just like, even just the short form and just see how that makes you feel for a little
Yep.
bit. You know,
Yep.
I find that like even last night I was treating because we put that thing in the newsletter about the respiratory inflammation, and so I was like, I'm gonna treat and use this oil, because I had just read about it, and I was like, you read something, you're like, oh, I probably have that, right? And so I was doing it, and I was like, I was amazed. I didn't think I had any issue there, but I went through and did it, and I was amazed at how well I felt, and then how good my spine felt. Even things that I wouldn't have put together with, inflammation in the respiratory tract. And so, that's the thing that's great about having these things where we do little explorations is, just because our mind hasn't put two and two together doesn't mean that we can benefit from some of these. And, agitation in the body, we all are having to deal with it all the time. And so, if we find things that are helpful and soothing, then boy, whatever they're called, I'd say double down and do them.
Yeah, I will work with it definitely. And especially specifically when I was doing the brain, spine, brain, soles of the feet,
Hmm.
that's when it kicked in that it's
Oh,
actually
interesting. Yeah, yeah,
soothing some kind of a pain.
yeah.
So
I
yeah,
mean, the way that I thought about it, like when I had gotten that poison oak, there was a bunch of things going on in my life that were not pleasant, and I was like, it's interesting because even getting the pleasant oak, it's like I had this experience that was like I didn't want it so bad that it almost made me toxic because of how bad I didn't want it. And I was like, it's just a coincidence, or maybe it wasn't, that I got that poison oak.
mm,
But like as I went through and treated the poison oak, I realized that, at first I'm treating this allergy to the poison oak, but really I'm almost allergic to this thing that happened. You know what I mean?
mm,
And it has this cascading effect on the body. We think of allergies as being a very specific kind of set of mechanisms, but even times where we've gone through really difficult or rough times, that allergy support or treating allergies can be important because of the impact that situation has had on us. It
mm.
it triggers more things than just our immune system, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And when I had that situation, I had that, I don't know that I'd call it a realization, but just a little bit of a aha moment or something.
Thank you so much for this.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, let me know how that goes.
Definitely.
And then we had share in chat as well. And then if you have a question specifically related to this ARC program, go ahead and raise your hand or type it in as well. Someone said, wonderful oil, scent refreshing, reset.
Yeah, yeah. Nice reset. Good, good.
And I just want to do another, like Greg kind of already mentioned for me, but you guys who were here at the beginning could probably tell I was like super fast, like pop, 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 pop when we first
Yeah.
came in.
It's like you did a
And then
180.
we did the standard and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling this agitation. Like I wasn't aware of it before.
Right.
And it was like what happens when I have allergies. It's like this
Yeah, yeah,
reactive thing.
yeah.
And it just, whoo, calmed that all down. Like a big, big layer.
Because like I don't know, like I like to sit and just kind of think of like patterns sometimes rather than symptoms and things. But how we talk about like being triggered emotionally or mentally or going into automatic behavior or automatic thinking. allergies are almost like the automatic response for the body, you know, and in our minds, we see those things as things that are very separate or very different, but having a triggered response just cascade through the body, whatever you want to call it, that it's because of an incident or a bunch of emotions or toxic environment or touched poison oak or pollen in the air or gluten in your food or whatever it is, it's still a kind of response in the body. And when we set aside symptoms, it's like there's a much bigger kind of wave of something that's happening in the body that we really don't recognize because we look at everything in these little pieces. But if you look at like what allergies are, and then you just go, okay, different scenarios. What does that look like in the emotions? What does that look in the mind? And you're like, I think that's the thing that I had the realization is like I have emotional allergies and mental allergies and situational allergies and kind of even allergy to a few people, maybe. Like, like when they get around, they just rub me the wrong way. And I've rubbed other people the wrong way. I mean, yeah. And so I don't know. Like I like that we do one of these a week so we have time to explore and kind of do a meet and greet and get to know each little thing rather than just looking at it from the point of view of, you know, a symptom. Because I was just reflecting on this after last week is like, if you think about this after a year, there's going to be a whole playlist that is just every Auric program. Boom, 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 boom. And we've talked about it, we've played with it, there's conversations about it, so there'll be the written word and then all the, I don't know, I just think that's kind of neat.
It is. It's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
It's kind of unfolding here this year. Well, I think we're ready, guys.
Yeah, so questions, go ahead and fire away. Unmute yourself, type in, anything goes, so go ahead and fire away.
And go ahead, Priya, and then Chris.
Hey again. So, firstly, feedback. The uncle that I'm guiding the ginger lily with, he level 3 practitioner, but he's been out of practice for a few years due to some reasons. And he shared yesterday when we started the session, he shared that the kind of vibration that was constant back in those days, it's now starting to come back in bits and pieces throughout the day.
Yeah.
So he was very pleased and very thankful, and he just wanted to say thank you.
Good.
Second one, having a bath in Refinement was great.
Yeah, isn't that a good bath?
But I don't know if it's I should be happy or sad, but my face and neck got super itchy as I was
That's too bad.
in the bath.
Really?
I felt that it was just the energy, the whatever
Yeah,
was.
like because that's I mean it could be that the little nerves get a little overstimulated or something, but it's probably the energy. Yeah.
Energy
So did
that
it
was being
pass?
expelled from. Yeah, it did pass. Like in a few minutes
Yeah.
it did. But I was wondering when something like this happens because refinement it was helping me even while I was just inhaling it, and that's why I got the
Mhm.
oil for the bath. And so my feeling said that this itchiness is just what is being expelled from the
Yeah.
body.
Yeah.
But what can I do for cleaning up the rest of the.
Right. So if it's still there, like or like, say in the future you're doing another process, it usually is energy moving. Like when a lot of energy moves fast out of an area, it can be a little bit like itchy or tingling, sometimes even on the head, I'll feel like a little bit of pressure and it passes. But the thing that I always like to make sure of is make sure the arms and legs aren't too congested, make sure the spine is not congested, and then also the main men. And so an easy way to do that is take something cleansing like palisando or chocolate root cleanser or hyssop. Um, uh, my go-tos are usually orange healer or opadeldoc. And I just start inhaling, because even though you're feeling it in the head, it still might be some like trying to move up and out and it's getting stuck. And so always check the arms and legs, check the spine and the Ming Men. And then if you're still feeling a little something, do the organs of blood purification,
Yep.
lungs, liver, kidneys, spleen, and usually whatever is going on, unless it's something kind of extreme, that usually will just keep them moving. It might not be the source of anything, but it opens things up enough to where everything just keeps moving and it passes. Because a lot of times we're clearing something from an old situation or an old set of feelings or old set of responses or something, and the goal is movement, just to keep it moving. And in the old days I would sit and try to figure it out, and I started realizing that it didn't really matter that I figured it out. And so the goal is just keep them moving. So orange, like orange healer opodeldoc has a lot of like green and orange pranas in it. It will keep things moving, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, if it gets too agitating, then you go like violet, like so lavender, violet healer, say sacred violet, violet flame, things like that, things that have just a lot of they'll raise the vibration, but they'll also flush out like any sort of thought form that is getting stuck there. Because not all the thought forms are from your mind or your emotions. Sometimes there's giant thought forms that are stuck in the body. And so sometimes you are breaking some of that stuff down. I mean, that happens with the Life Alter class. I didn't go into a big explanation of that, but that is part of what happens in that Life Alter class.
I'm loving the class. By the way,
Mhm.
just before joining this, I was doing the practice over there, and it's like I don't even know which one should be my favorite oil right now from the kit. It
Oh
should be
yeah.
I love you
Yeah,
or
yeah,
which one?
yeah.
Like, they're all so great. Emotional.
And now that we're doing them like the mashups where we're integrating different classes together, like that causes me like because I have all these like little kits of like how you guys have the kits, but then I'm missing two oils from this one and one in this one because I've made this other special secret kit that is like my secret thing where I pull from different classes. And so like this idea that where we're mashing up classes that we've done before and doing these free study groups, it will even step up where we're pulling different pieces. And my experience is your favorite classes will get more favorite, like they'll become more your favorite. You're like, oh, like these go together so well. Yeah,
I'm very excited.
yeah,
I love all your
yeah.
practices.
Oh,
They
you're
are
very sweet.
powerful, they're effective, they're pleasant, they're very unique. I don't know, I really enjoy them all.
Yeah.
Um, my other question
Mhm.
is Vitex, when we apply it to the temple miners, how long usually is the long-term treatment, and how else also can I use Vitex?
So a lot of times with Vitex, you're looking at regulating some hormonal aspects, the endocrine system, especially things that have to do with reproduction system and sometimes even a little bit of the urinary tract issues. But it's more reproduction, and especially for women. Men can actually use Vitex too, but it's other things work better, so I usually don't talk about that. But it's whenever you're treating the endocrine system, it's kind of a little bit of a longer term treatment. And, it depends on why you're treating and what the issues are and what your cycle's like and your age and all that. But definitely Vitex is kind of a long-term treatment. It has a very regulating effect on the female reproductive system. Like if the cycle is too light or too heavy, it regulates that, and it will help to reduce cramping. It will help to reduce hot flashes. It helps, menopause and premenopause and all those kinds of symptoms, night sweats, things like that. It might not completely eradicate everything, but usually when I've had somebody use it when their cycle has been very irregular or they're going through menopause or premenopause, it will drastically reduce the symptoms. And we still usually need to fine tune something in more severe cases. But, I can't remember what you're treating with that, but like I would say at least probably 90 days.
90 days.
If there's something else going on, like sometimes you're on it for, a year or two.
I'm trying to address cramps and they
Cramps. Yeah, you probably, I would say 90 days. And then after that, if the cramping has reduced, I mean, you can always, I mean, I would still do that, but things like tarragon to the abdomen, marjoram, if those don't work right off the bat, like sometimes I'll go to like clary sage or mugwort applied down to the low abdomen. And if you have them, you could even just try rotating them. But even there, I would say for a little bit, even before you have the cramps, I would treat it like as if just to kind of prevent any potential cramping. And then after like a couple of months and the cycle's been kind of regular and there's been no cramping, then I could say you could do like spot treatments. But at first, it's like you want to get a system up and going so that it's functioning as well as possible. Not just the reduction of symptom, but like, you keep making that system work better and better. And then eventually it kind of works out some of those problems on its own. And then you can spot treat. But the first treatment, I would say anything endocrine, my rule of thumb is at least 90 days. And for some issues, it can be even a couple of years. Endocrine system communicates very slowly, like reacts very slowly. So, it's not as impacted to change like other parts of your body are. But at the same time, when you're trying to change it, it takes a while. It's not. You ever have one of those friends that like when you first met them, they were like, I'm going to watch it for 6 months before I really decide that I'm going to interact with you. You know,
I
endocrine
wish
system,
that
what's that?
I wish I was like that
Yeah.
in friendships. I used
Endocrine
to have
system's a lot like that though. Like it's
like,
like, I'm going to watch you for 6 months before I really talk to you. Where, the nervous system is like, hi, hi, hello, hi. It's very, very fast, very quick, very fast, very expressive. Yeah.
thank you. So yeah, I applied it today for the first time, and I will continue with that. There was another question.
Hmm?
The oil. Thank you so much for these generous gifts every week. The Angel Damiel oil. How can I use it for creative, just to get rid of some blocks?
For you, like you could do a couple of things. For you, I would probably do the materialization breath. Do the materialization breath and then follow it with 3 brains from the bottom up. Eventually, with all of the angels, eventually the goal is to be able to sit with your awareness on the pineal gland and inhale the oil or invoke the name. The issue is that your body has to get used to the energy over a period of time. So you kind of keep playing with these like, oh, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to do it that way. And then at some point, there's like enough stillness with this new kind of vibration or this new piece of information that you can actually get your awareness on the blue pearl or the pineal gland and then be able to sit with it for a period of time. It takes a while to get there. So I would say the materialization breath and three brains from the bottom up would accelerate that process for you. Like, but do that for a while.
Yeah. My last question is, what does
Hmm?
tobacco teach us?
What's that?
What does tobacco teach us? The
Um,
tobacco.
it helps the basic be like more flexible, not so rigid. Like it's like sometimes I hesitate saying things just because like our normal everyday mind has like a version of what that looks like, and it's usually more of a mystical kind of um version. Like your everyday mind kind of knows like, oh, that I know that word, I know that idea, but it doesn't know it the way intuition knows it. And I would say tobacco is about a kind of communication.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Like reflect on it. It's not like how you and I are talking. It's not that kind of communication.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then go ahead, Chris, then Lolly.
Hey, Chris.
Thanks, Sam. Hey, Greg. Thank you for all the gifts and the oils.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah, so generous and so sweet. Um, Question. I've been looking through my notes on tinnitus. Can you
Mhm.
please remind me? And it's just jumbled.
It,
My
it,
notes
it,
are
could- yeah, it
jumbled
could,
up.
yeah, it could be a little bit difficult because like
Um,
the idea, like we can talk about from a physical point of view and then from an energetic point of view.
yes,
Like
please.
from a physical point of view, there's like receptors in the brain that like are out of sync or are not firing or they're firing too much. And so you hear that buzz in the ear, but it's actually not the nerves in the ear. You're hearing the misfirings in the brain. And so, I mean, it's not a magic bullet, but a lot of times I use something like sage because you have two things that work there for the sage. So one sage is very good for brain fatigue, but the other thing is that sage is very good for overstimulated nerves. And so that idea of using sage just inhaled or inhaled onto the brain, several drops on a wrist, it might not be like an immediate, like I put this on and 15 minutes later I feel amazing, right? Because a lot of times when you have, tinnitus, it could be there for a while. But if you kind of put some on your wrist and you inhale it, and all of a sudden a couple of days will go by and you're like, I haven't had ringing in my ears for a while. It's kind of more like that.
Okay.
And so you know the idea would be probably a little bit more consistent treatment than it would be anything else. But if you look at it from the point of view of energy, a lot of times when there's tinnitus, either the head is congested or the Ming Men is very overactivated or overstimulated. So it's quite big. And then it's kind of, I don't want to say dirty, but like full, like it's impacted kind of, because the Ming Men is raising the vibration of the body. And sometimes it just gets too much paperwork on its desk and it just gets like too much there. And so it just starts shooting off excess. The with something like that, like orange heather, opodeldoc, palo santo, chocolate root cleanser, hyssop, some form of eucalyptus, you can inhale you could do it on the Mingmen area, but I would also do kind of like the body, because a lot of times the limbs or the digestive tract can overstimulate the Mingmen, and then also the perineum, sometimes is really backed up. It could do that. And then if we continue a little bit on that note, is sometimes the Mingmen is overstimulated because the person is a little maybe overwhelmed or a little bit ungrounded, because like part of like what ungrounded looks like energetically is the Mingmen overactivates, which shrinks the basic and then makes them kind of top heavy. So it means more energy up at the head and not very much down at the feet. And when you see something like that, the person tends to be like accident prone, or a little bit like, you'd say, oh, that person's a little klutzy or something. Like you're bumping into things, you're dropping things, you pick something up and drop it, you walk and you misjudge and you bump into the counter, stuff like that. And so if that's happening, I usually use vetiver, and vetiver inhaled, applied on the spine, used as a body tonic, taking a few drops internally, some version of that. Anything dark blue also has a calming effect or a regulating effect on the Mingmen. So yarrow, German chamomile, dark blue tansy, things like that. Feels like I'm leaving one out. Cape chamomile kind of would. Spikenard kind of probably would. Is there another dark one?
That's what I was thinking of, the dark ones. I think you.
Yeah, I think what I'm thinking of is there used to be a mugwort root that was dark blue, and
What was it?
it hasn't been around for 10 years, but it's still in my memory banks. So yeah, trust me, I've tried to get it, but it was the roots.
Did you say mugwort root?
Root, yeah. They haven't distilled it in probably 20 years.
Sounds yummy.
Yeah, it was dark blue. It looked like German chamomile, and it was not very, very not very common. Like it wasn't very popular, but some of the old school guys, that's where we'd get it, and it just, I don't know. If sometimes it's just one distiller making something, and when they pass away or something, it goes away. So it's one of those things.
Thank you so much. I'll try this out with that person I'm working on.
I mean, even like, so I said all those things, even a little bit of a blue oil, like down on the low back on the Mingmen area, sometimes will even reduce it somewhat.
Okay.
I like the idea of sage just because it's neuroprotective. It calms down the overstimulated nerves. It is good for brain fatigue. It does a lot of things there. So probably within that little, grouping of oils there, you should find something that would resolve that for that person.
Is that a kind of long-term treatment, or have you seen?
Yeah, it also depends on the person. Like, sometimes there is damage to the ears. I would still put all those treatments in place to treat that. We don't see it too much anymore, but back when Motrin first started becoming a prescribed medication, was 800 milligrams of ibuprofen, and people would take sometimes more than one. And like high doses of ibuprofen, for example, will damage those little hairs in your ear, and you just get permanent ringing. And so you can calm that down, but it will usually come back because there's damage. And so there are times where people are dealing with that long term, but even then you can do it to manage it, but they'll just have to always do it. Where sometimes, I'll get tinnitus from time to time, and I treat it, and then it doesn't happen for a very long time, but then something happens. And for me, I usually notice when I'm a little stressed, when I'm fatigued, or when I've been doing like a lot of like meditation or ceremony and my head's congested, and then I'll get like a lot of ringing in the ears. And so that idea of decongesting the head, which you could use health rays, you could use Petitgrin, you could use basil for that. That's usually not the person's thing, but I mean, you never know. So health rays is an easy choice there.
I remember when we talked about, or you talked about, I'm not sure if we talked about it, but you had mentioned something about balancing out the right and left side of the brain.
Yeah, you still can do something like that. I mean, a really easy way to do that is again to take vetiver and rub it into your temples every day.
Okay.
Lang Lang will kind of do that, but what's the first one? Active Intelligence Blend. That will actually help balance out the two sides of the brain as well. And there's a very old blend. It was out of, well, it's based on an anointing oil, but it was out of the ajna class when we were going chakra by chakra. Producing results. I think it's in that one.
Oh my goodness.
Producing results will also do it, but all it is like frankincense, myrrh, galbanum, and I don't know. There's one other oil in there. I can't remember, but it's like an old anointing oil. But usually for balancing out the two sides of the brain, I use vetiver.
Vetiver. Okay.
Yeah, because if you think about it, even the idea of like what you're asking about with the Ming Men, part of what the Ming Men does is balances out the two sides of the brain. You know, that's part of its function. And so, anytime you see like, oh, vetiver is good for grounding and helping to regulate the Ming Men, it's also good for balancing out the brain. It's also like what that effect would produce. And so again, going back to balancing out the brain, vetiver would be good for that.
Thank you so much.
You're so
One
welcome.
more question, please.
Mhm.
You know the person with the QL, the quadratus lumborum thing we were working on, the right side is a little stubborn. What could help?
Oh, it's a guy, like a guy
Yeah. What
and
could
is
help
his
this
abdominal
area?
stuff, how's that all doing?
It's better. He's sleeping better. He's feeling better. But when I
The
work on
right
the
side
right,
stubborn?
yeah, it feels,
Yeah, especially in the low back, that can happen.
yeah.
I mean, sometimes that could still be like a little psoas, but let me just look at him for a minute here. No, wait. I'm looking at- Boy, yeah, it is. It does look better, but it's still.
It's almost there's something calcified there.
Yeah, there's something like really stuck there. And like at first, usually the first thing that I look at is like fascia. Like, there's like a fascial lesion there, but I don't think that's the case. You know what it is? It's lymphatic. Um,
Oh, he's been taking
do
tons of
things.
salt baths too.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Like do things that are good for the lymphatic everywhere, but like anything that you can use like topically, like lymphatic blend or helichrysum or something like that, or like if you are working with energy, like green and orange, heavy on the orange, like so orange healer, lovage, green healer, tea tree, eucalyptus, basil. Green eucalyptus is more like radiata and polybroct, and like the globulus is more orange. So you could even just work those areas with colored stuff, be it with energy or with the oils. So try that. Like keep starting the movement of lymph in that area. Part of what happens sometimes, it can be an injury, but it can happen with influenzas, is that the lymph nodes of the gut, especially around the belly button area, get really super impacted. And so then blood flow and detoxification in that area, years later is still being impacted by these impacted lymph nodes. And so the things that we're talking about will help keep unwinding that, so that then the fascia can release, the trigger points and the body tension can release. And one of the ways to throw off lower motion that's in the body is still lymphatic movement. It throws off the low vibration energy out of the body. So
Would mold have contributing factors?
it was either an injury or an illness. Yeah. I mean, the mold would not make it not as responsive, but it probably wouldn't have caused it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. That
Would
like when you get it
mugwort
settled,
help? I know
mugwort could help. Like mugwort would definitely help with the movement of energy in that area, but it might not completely jumpstart the lymphatic movement. But I mean, the thing with mugwort is it always gets energy moving. And so, like, there's just times with, like, when in doubt, throw some mugwort at it. Like
topical, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
in
I
that
mean,
area.
you get energy moving, and it's like it almost becomes a little bit easier to figure out, because it becomes more reactive to anything that you're doing. And yeah, I mean, I would throw that out there as well. Yeah.
So he has that. Gosh, what was it? Not trigger point. It's a body tonic. It's for pain. So would that? Oh gosh, I'm
Probably
drawing a
either nerve
blank.
help or pain soothe.
I think maybe nerve help. Would that help move stuff?
Yeah, if it's nerve help, it would. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Greg.
You're so welcome.
And then go ahead, Lolly, then Christina.
Hey, Lolly.
Hey. So the classes on the weekend were, oh my God, so good and so needed. So thank you.
Oh, good. How'd you like the mashup?
It was amazing. It's all these things that's like, so used to thinking of things in a certain way. And then all of a sudden, like, wait, what's happening? It was really interesting to see how everything is affecting things in a different way. And what did we do? I think it was vetiver. Yesterday? Oh my God, 2 days ago. We did something with vetiver.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we did
Oh
vetiver.
my God.
Yeah, yeah.
And each time I drop the bottle, I'm like, thank God it's so thick, because otherwise.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like we were talking about, like, could be meditation, could be healing, could be, sometimes I've even used vetiver, like, how sometimes when you're sleeping and you wake up and you're like, I am somewhere else. Like the vetiver just brings you like into your body more.
Yeah, so that was really cool. But overall, it was amazing to even get the idea of how it can really work together. So yeah, so thank you. So okay, we need to talk about my skin. Something is off. So I've been having, my skin has been acting up even before I, went on my trip. Then it got worse. Then it got even worse. And it was mainly like around the mouth area. But the last week or so, this area is worse. I have breakouts on my neck, on my cheeks, and the last few days.
So is it red or is it acne or like
it's looking a little bit like acne. Right now it's like a perioral dermatitis around the lips. and then some breakouts on the neck. And the last few days, it's really weird. Like I go outside, I do different things, running errands. I'm not even outside as much. I come home the last few days, I have like breakouts that look like acne, like small blemishes, a few of them on my chest and on my upper back. Today as well. Really weird. And then the other thing that's been going on is, again, it's skin related.
Okay.
Also, another thing, just so you'll get the picture, I went to a hot sauna, infrared sauna last week.
Okay.
Didn't really sweat much,
Okay.
which makes me think the skin is congested.
So, like, if you go out and exercise or something, do you sweat very much or sweat at all right now?
I usually don't sweat much, and I haven't done like any exercise in a while. I don't sweat
Right.
really when I do yoga.
And it's
But
cold, so you can't tell because it's not like it's 100
yeah,
degrees outside. And yeah, okay.
but the
I mean,
infrared
you should be
sauna
sweating in
in the sauna, I
Yeah.
usually sweat more. Again, I might be
Okay.
off.
So I would say there's a couple things that we should look at like in layers. But also like with the fires and everything, are you able to put your guard down like everything? Like I don't know where you
I'm not, and that's the thing. Like I'm not that close to the fires. When I look
Okay.
outside, when
So
I
that's
walk
not like a
outside,
thing in the back of your head or anything right now.
oh, of course it is.
Okay. But
And
not
that's
like crazy. Like
not as
it's
much as last week, but it's
okay.
still something that's going on.
Okay.
Yes.
So there's a stress component, but like you said, this was happening before when you had the
But
stress of your trip coming up and all
but
that. So
this right, but this new thing with my skin, I go outside, I come home, and all of a sudden I have those little blemishes in various places.
yeah. So this is the thing that like I think we just need to treat it, but like normally I would say when somebody has a skin issue, like when you start to have like acne, like whiteheads or, like, even the bumps that like will eventually turn into whiteheads,
Yeah.
that's not on your face, but like in other parts of your body, that is your body trying to do like an emergency detox of something,
That's that's what I was also
some with the
thinking. Yeah.
liver, some with the kidney, something with whatever, even the lungs, gotta get it out of here. And so that's the way that it handles that. I guess I'm saying a different version of the same thing. You've had all the smoke and you've had, granted you had this before, of the fire, but now you have the smoke and there's toxic stuff in the air and already bad air quality down there anyway. And it's like, ugh. And so I would put another component into it. So let's talk about it in steps, right? Instead of like going, okay, let's treat this symptom. Let's make some things in the skin work better, and then see if the skin resolves some of it. And part of something's not working well, right? So the very first thing I would do is let's decongest the skin. And the easiest way to do that is either a helichrysum body tonic or helichrysum salt baths. And most
I
times,
did the body tonic earlier. Yeah.
yeah, but do it for a little while, like but I mean, after a week, it should start doing something. Usually in the old days, I would have people do salt baths, but the body tonic is just as good. And so,
scrub as well, right? If I'm doing the salt
yeah,
scrub.
the scrub would help. The idea would be I mean, just salt scrubs in general are somewhat decongesting to the skin, but there's a component that the helichrysum hits that even the scrubbing doesn't really hit. And so I would still do salt scrubs or the body brushing or whatever, but helichrysum will usually get it.
So I meant the helichrysum salt scrub.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
still want to leave it on the body for a while.
Okay.
You know
That's
what I
why you
mean?
like the body tonic.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The old days too, like I would because this would always, like when I was traveling with, cycling teams or triathletes or something, that would be one of my things that I would say is like, okay, how much are you sweating? Because, at first they'd look at me like I was a moron and they were like, well, I'm running all day and this and that. And I was like, yeah, but how, are you sweating well? Like, even like for an athlete who's like super healthy, the quicker they break a sweat, like when they're warming up, they like as soon as they break a sweat is really when they warm up. And, some of these guys would have to go and ride for like, an hour to break that sweat. And I was like, that's not good. Like you should be able to break a sweat in like 5, 10 minutes. If you're putting out and it's hot and everything, yeah, you should start to feel a little moisture somewhere. And so I would have them put helichrysum body tonic on. I'd have them use milfoil on the wrist. And uh, sometimes if the helichrysum wasn't quite getting it, I would have them do ginger baths. I usually did helichrysum first. But the ginger bath can do it. But I still all three of those. Like you might get away with just doing helichrysum for a little bit, but if it's still like then a few drops of milfoil on your wrist, you can inhale it somewhat, but it's more about getting it into the blood than anything. And then start rotating like ginger bath, helichrysum bath, ginger bath, helichrysum bath. And that will help. Like
What?
backup, like if it's really still like you're still not sweating, the use of coffee in a bath can be quite good because it's very stimulating to the lymphatic movement of in the skin. And you might be able to get away with parsley like that, but in the old days
That's what I was about to ask. Yeah.
yeah, I used to use coffee more for that. Like even just putting coffee on and just rubbing it on an area. Sometimes, it doesn't go deep into the body, but it's like you can stimulate the skin to do it. Like as soon as the skin starts to um as soon as the skin starts to like perspire and things, your internal organs like the liver, kidney, spleen, lungs, they start detoxifying. So anytime you start that process, you're already addressing the next step. And so I would focus on really opening up the skin. And you have some hot spots, like you said, around your mouth and on your neck and whatever. Stimulate the skin first. Then with like the acne parts, like if you want to draw it out, tea tree is always good for drawing it out. But if you just want to calm it down, like helichrysum, German chamomile, like yarrow, even dark blue tansy, anything like that. I usually use helichrysum, but any of that should like make the swelling go down. I mean, helichrysum is what I use even on uh boils. Like when something gets really super big, I just start pouring helichrysum on it. And usually they don't have to get lanced if I do that. But if we catch it too late, still might need to get lanced. But I would do that level of treatment first, and I think your skin stuff might start to resolve itself. But if it doesn't, then the rash around the mouth, I would probably, I would, after you've unwound the skin and you go back to treat around the mouth, it's going to respond differently because the skin is now changing. Spikenard is what I would use around the mouth. And just because it's soothing, it's still anti-inflammatory, and it's very balancing to the skin. And I think that if the skin is real congested, physically congested, and you open that up and that doesn't resolve, then the spikenard would help. But going back to what we were talking about before you even left for Israel, is you're getting ready to go to the war zone and see the family and all that. So there's some level of stress and things like that. And then you come back from that, and then you go through a crazy fire in Southern California.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's nuts. Like, that's just like crazy situation nuts. Like, you couldn't make that up for a movie. Like, it's just nuts. So I would do like maybe some more spikenard like on the feet, just to kind of keep taking down and calming down the stress response. You know, the more that you're you know that the fire's over and you're back from Israel, but your body is not convinced. Like,
Yeah.
your body is like, I don't know about that. Like, that was a crazy week last week. Let's just act
Oh
like
yeah,
as
it's
if it's still there.
yeah.
But emotionally, mentally, you
So
know that it's not.
yeah. But okay, so there's a few things. Thank you. So a few things. I was like, okay, so it's either really the skin is congested and all these things happening and stress. So I've been doing spikenard on my feet constantly.
Good.
I
Oh, very good.
already so also because I remember you talked about parsley and helichrysum even this weekend. I think you mentioned that.
Mhm.
So I actually ended up doing parsley on my body for the last few days.
Oh, that's great.
And on my
Yeah.
face as well,
Yeah.
which I don't know. I don't know
It,
if
it
I
doesn't quite have, I mean, it does other things for your skin, but it's not going to have quite the decongesting effect that the helichrysum would.
so okay. So
Yeah,
helichrysum would
like
be
you
more.
want to be able to like break a sweat, and like, that's like one of the easiest ways to check to see how congested the skin is like
Yeah,
how quickly can you break a sweat.
which
And
is why I mentioned it because I
yeah,
remember.
yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
so I did. So then I did do the helichrysum body tonic earlier, and I did scrub the other day as well. If I'm doing
Mhm.
really a scrub, how long would you leave it on the body so it's similar to like a salt bath?
I would rub it on the areas and then probably just stand there in the shower for a couple of minutes, and
Okay,
then
that's what I okay.
yeah, that's good. I
Okay.
mean, the with a salt bath, you're sitting and soaking. With salt scrub, you're using more concentrated salt on a particular part of your body, and you have the friction of the movement
Yeah.
of all of that, which makes more happen quicker. Like, you know what I mean? So like, you don't have to do like you're sitting in the salt bath for 20 minutes. You don't have to let it soak for 5 or 10 minutes. It's like you want to let it absorb into the body, but it's like the friction and all of that is also doing, and the concentration of salt. That's also.
Okay. And then, so the parsley you wouldn't necessarily use because it's not as effective for what
Parsley is super good for the skin. I just think it would be like phase 2 or phase 3.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
normally
then,
I would say parsley for a lot of different skin things. I'd go for it. But you have such a weird thing going on, and you have, your skin it's not just stress. The skin is also reacting to the smoke in the air. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like,
And I'm
it
very
needs a cup
sensitive.
of cocoa and a blanket and just like sit and rock in the corner for a while.
Pretty
Like, you know
much
what I mean?
that's what it
It
feels like.
it
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
just needs to be cleaned up a little bit, and I would do that for a little while. Parsley will get into the mix at some point, but
Okay.
right now I would say the helichrysum is really good for opening up like the fascia, the connective tissue, but also um, uh, all the pores, and it increases circulation even down to the very bottom level of the skin, because if you break it down in layers, a lot of times, a lot of the stuff that we might be using might only be hitting the first or second layer. But that's why it works so good for scars, is it penetrates that deeper layer and opens up the circulation, which then hydrates the rest of your skin, and even the more surface parts. And so I would work helichrysum kind of hard for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I
that,
treated this lady one time. She owned a health food store. And, ever since she was young, she would always get like a lot of edema in her legs. And she didn't have a heart issue. She didn't have, she took things for her kidneys, but she just for some reason she couldn't shake off this like puffiness in her legs, and she would wear compression stockings and this had gone on for a long period of time. And I knew her well, and so she asked me like, what would you do? And she was already doing everything that I would do. And so I was like, let's throw everything out and treat the skin. And I had her do like a lot of helichrysum on the body. And for her, I had her rotate between hot and cold showers, like turn it on hot, then turn it on cold, and then turn it on hot. And it made the edema in her legs reduce probably by 90%.
oh,
And she would have to touch it up from time to time. But the reason why it worked was her skin was so congested that her kidneys didn't detoxify like they should. When I asked her, like, do you sweat? She goes, no, I just, I'm not one of those people that's a sweater. And I go, like, when's the last time you broke a sweat? And she was like, I don't know, 10 years. It's like, your body's just toxic. That's what. And
and
it can sneak up on you. It's not always what you would think it is, but you in
yeah,
the environment that you're in with all the
and
smoke and stuff in the air,
exactly. And
even if you didn't have it before all that, yeah, you would have it.
exactly. So then, so a couple of these. So the milfoil, you would use. I can even use it as like a small roller ball
Sure.
thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So I need to get it because it's better to use by itself, not as a, not in a blend, right?
I would get it by itself. Yeah.
Okay, then yeah,
Because it's
fine. That's
about like helping to break the sweat.
so you do it like what, once a day or so?
Yeah, once a day.
Okay.
Like, what I would say is do it right before you get up and start being active.
Okay.
Because it's more about like that you get the juices flowing. You know what I mean? So if you're sitting there reading the paper for 2 hours in the morning, don't do it then. But you go, okay, got some errands to run, put it on, then go run your errands.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. And then another thing that's been going on, which is so two things. One, I was also thinking maybe it's related to the digestive system. Not sure.
It could be, but I would say treat the things that are in place now, and then depending on how it reacts, then you start problem solving.
Okay.
Digestion would definitely be an issue. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like a thing that you would look at, but given all the factors that you have, like there's some things that have to be crossed off the list before you start going deeper.
Okay. And then the other
I'd
thing,
rather see more time and energy put on the things that we've talked about,
yeah.
doing a bit of that and then doing some other things. Just
Okay.
really go after the helichrysum.
Focus on that.
Yeah,
Okay. And then can the helichrysum also be as ointment and not a body tonic?
I would probably do body tonic or salt bath, just
Okay.
because you're trying to make the skin like basically breathe and release better. And the ointment, I would say, as it starts to improve, you could do ointment, which would maybe go deeper. But at first, I think it needs to just like get on the skin and like, let the skin do what it's going to do. Where like if you put the ointment on, the skin's still having to process the massage oil or sesame oil or whatever it's in. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that's been going on is the pins and needles, which that's been better. It's been coming back the last few days. So that's mostly the back and then the lower.
How's your back been feeling?
Pain-wise, I'm actually
Not too bad.
pain-wise, it's actually fine. So I'm not really I don't really feel a lot of pain, no. But the pins and needles and also this itchiness on my lower back. And that was there even before, I think before my trip.
So you have the Light and Love class, correct?
Yeah.
So do do the part where you do the brain, spine, soles of the feet, but use violet leaf.
Okay.
Heavy on the spine. Like when you're doing it, really super heavy on the spine.
Okay. And that's what does it look like? Like it's congested, stagnation? What's my
It's had a rough couple months.
Okay.
Need to clean
And
up the crime scene.
okay.
You know what I mean?
And
It will help like shift the body somewhat, but it will help calm things, like in the nervous system, will help calm things down.
okay.
Yeah.
And then the itchiness and the like it's not hives. You don't
It's all because of agitation. Like
all
if you just
so
start
the
calming
lower
things
back
down,
high.
yeah,
Okay.
then put out the spot, the spots that aren't calming down. But right now, like you said, it's like cleaning up the crime scene, get all the big pieces moving.
Okay, so then there's no, because even for the itchiness, I was trying like Opadel Doc and Orange Healer and something to clean up. Like it's so, but just do helichrysum for
Yeah,
now.
I mean, I would try lavender and chamomiles and things like that, but
Yeah.
sometimes the like things like that might be helpful, but there's got to be. I mean, you had a 1-2 punch. There has to be so much agitation in your body from everything that's gone on for
Yeah.
months that just
And
start
also,
calming everything down.
and
Just
also been,
calming everything down.
okay, and also been doing Tarragon, Melissa, started doing adrenal support a couple of days ago.
Yeah, dark blue tansy, yarrow, German chamomile,
And
vetiver,
then,
all the things that you just spikenard, anything that's calming and soothing. For me, sometimes like I like to do like tuberose and so you have that plant teacher kit.
yeah,
Look at some of the fancy ones like tuberose, do that, and inhale that a bunch, and lotus, like inhale some lotus.
also been
All,
doing,
all of those are very good for shifting the nervous system.
okay, also been doing Siberian fur because I
Yeah,
really like
isn't it
that.
nice? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then what about what we just talked about in the Auric programming? We were just talking
Yeah.
about the
Yeah,
allergy
like
support.
right up your alley.
That
Right up,
felt
I mean,
so
not
nice.
just like metaphorically or mystically, like there's a lot of reasons for you to be doing that. Yeah.
So then I'm just doing that as like, what, do the advanced on this one?
Given that you're coming from such an extreme situation and that you do oils and healing so much, I would say do the advanced part 3 times a week for the next couple of weeks. And then in between do like just a maintenance, standard approach, but like you could almost go every other day.
Okay. And then probably add to that the anabolic state.
I would probably just stick with working the adrenal support. Like I would almost say just go really deep on working
So
that.
wait, so that's allergy support or adrenal support? Or both?
I would do allergy support.
You said
Yeah. Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Allergy support.
Okay, so I'll do the allergy support. And then not internally, right?
No,
Can you
just
take
topical. No, just do the quadrants and
right. Would you ever use it topically, or there's no real?
yeah, you could use it topically. I mean, usually when there's like bad allergies and things.
Okay.
But a lot of times inhalation or like a body tonic like on the back of the neck and shoulders.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think I'm all set with my what I need to do with that. And
Yeah.
then do I need to do like something like lactic acid flash or something?
Eventually. Right now
Not even now.
you're still stomping out some fires. Yeah.
Okay,
I would say
fine.
eventually. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're so
And then to follow up on a question from a little bit earlier about the Angel Damiel. Oh my God, thank you so much. It's so beautiful and lovely.
Isn't it? It's so nice.
Wow. So
that
then
orangey scent is this
what
it's called Nartji. It's this like funky, that kind of orange citrus thing that comes out of Africa. It's a beautiful, beautiful oil. Yeah.
It's so basically, so really what's in this blend?
I have to look it up.
And really I was wondering how to use it, because I wasn't sure if it's the best thing to really use it more for creativity or use it more at night, or
Yeah, it's Narji, Buddhawood, mugwort, mace, and galangal. I would use it for healing. I would use it for meditation, ceremony. I would also use it like maybe before you go to bed, like sleep. Go to
okay.
bed. Yeah.
And I was wondering really if it's one of those you would just diffuse it the entire night and kind of.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
mean, it puts you out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's such a nice smell. It's like it's
It's
almost smells like candy to me.
yeah, it's just so beautiful. And then really, would you use it during the day? That's what I was wondering about, if you would just use it during the day as well, or
If you're trying to be creative.
if
Like
you're trying to be
if
creative.
you're
Okay.
trying to balance your checkbook, I would say probably not.
No.
But if you're trying to
Okay.
be creative or, yeah, like that's
Okay.
what I would use that.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you
You're
so
so
much.
And then go ahead, Christina, and then Deborah.
Hey, Christina.
Hi, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing all
You
right.
did okay. You're not near the fires, right?
Actually, I am.
Oh, you are.
Yeah, we had but I'm pretty south enough that I'm not as affected, but we
Okay.
still get the ashes and the
Oh,
bad
yeah,
air quality. Yeah.
yeah.
We had an alert once, and then it turned out to be a false alarm. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I think you probably answered most of my questions with Lali.
Well,
But
I'm glad you're doing better, and for some reason I thought you were more south of Astara, so I was like, because we were going through like the list of people that we knew, and
yeah.
yeah, God, that has to be craziness. Val was saying, the one that is in the office at Astara, I think she went through a couple of couple pairs of tennis shoes, because they
Oh,
were
wow.
so covered in ash and dirt and grit, and it's
Oh
just
my goodness.
so I'm glad you guys are okay.
Yeah, we're about 10 minutes east of downtown LA. So
Oh, I thought you were in the other direction.
no,
Oh, wow. So you were
no.
really super close.
Well, close enough. Yeah. Yeah, there were a couple times where we thought of just getting ready,
Right.
But yeah.
Well, I'm glad you guys are okay.
Yeah. So, given the situation, we wanted to open up our center for free healing sessions for firefighters and first responders and people that are affected.
Okay.
And I was wondering if there may be like one or two, maybe three oils that I can have on hand at the center for people to kind
So the thing,
know.
because we were talking this out, like things we want to do, like as everything calms down. At first we were wanting to send stuff out to people, but too many distractions, and we didn't want to be a distraction. And so I would say there's a couple things that I was thinking out of, just like bare bones for people out there.
Well, can I say, I just wanted to say that the clients that I deal with, they have no energy background and
Right.
no essential oil
That's
background. So
the
this
way
would
we
be
were
like the general public, right?
We were
Right.
trying to approach it like if I was going to give it to some of my family members.
Yeah.
I mean, like they're gonna make funny faces and go, and then inhale it, and then they get all relaxed and they're like, what am I doing? Like,
Yeah.
so the couple of things that I would say is one, and we're going to send a bunch out to several several people, but we're going to send a bunch of Eucalyptus Globulus. And so you're on that list where, just hand it out to people that you know, and, we just want to help however we can with the fire. And so we're going to do it from Astara, several people that we know down there. We're just going to send them bags of the Eucalyptus Globulus. And that would be to detoxify the lungs because of all the smoke and all the stuff in the air. And there's different kinds of eucalyptus, but globulus, which is just the standard eucalyptus, is the best thing to use for that. There's fancy things that you could kind of do. I don't know that they work any better, and it's limiting because of the cost and something like this, where eucalyptus, we're just going to get it out to a bunch of you guys and just have you hand it out and just help whoever you can with it. And then the other thing was marjoram. And the reason for the marjoram is for when it's transmuting to the body, and it's good for spasms, and people, I'm sure, were overexerting and lifting and sleeping in weird places, and so they're going to have like aches and pains and spasms and sprains and strains. Marjoram's good for all of that, but one of the things that marjoram's really good at is pulling you out of like fight flight mode, defense mode. And I can't even imagine the level of being in fight flight or defense of being in an area that's so impacted by a fire like that. And those two would be very straightforward. They'd be very practical. And you could help a lot of people with just not even patterns, just inhaling one, then inhaling the other. It doesn't even have to be anything crazy.
Yeah, well, a lot of them
There's
are
going to come a point where you're going to have to treat a lot of PTSD, but
yeah.
like that's
Well, I'll send them to you, but
well, we were even talking about like doing like a special recording for the
Mhm.
PTSD kits and things, and like just people are going to be impacted by that, and different people will handle it in different ways, but as it starts to arise and need and people asking, it's usually going to be a couple months before people start looking at that kind of stuff. They got too many things to do right now, so like when that starts to be a thing, we'll do some sort of little thing where we guide people through like a kind of an in-depth treatment for PTSD with things like that. We've done it in some of the other areas, but those fires were a little extra crazy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for all the free gifts that you've been giving
Thank you.
us. It feels like Christmas every time I get something from you. And I also, if I may, I wanted to open up our free healing sessions to people on the call here, whoever's affected, and also Astarians and
Okay.
Plant Prana students. And
Yeah, I think you had sent an
stuff,
email and I
so
let
yeah,
forward over, to Val.
yeah. Sam, feel free to hand out my phone number. So
Great, thank you so much.
yeah, thank you. Great.
Yeah,
Thank
glad
you,
you're
Sam.
okay. Yeah, glad
Yeah.
And then go ahead, Deborah, then Denise.
Hey, Deborah.
Get you unmuted.
Hi, Greg.
Hey.
So I just got my rose today. I've communicated some stuff with Sam already about that. Maybe she could tell you about that later. But what I wanted to ask you about was because I was supposed to get it on Friday, right? So I heard you talking a lot about skin issues and the detoxing, your skin detoxing from all of that stress. So, I've had this thing on my shoulder going on it's been over 6 months. And the last time we talked, there really wasn't any recommendations to do any oils for it. I've been continuing to do stuff myself because the itching is so horrible that I actually
describe it to me. Describe it to me.
So when doctors have looked at it, they've called it hives, right?
Oh yeah, I remember talking about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it now has spread to the front of my chest, and I because of its location, I actually have sores there, not just like moving my collar, not thinking, and has scratched it, and then in the back. So it'll calm down to a certain point, but when I was up living in North Carolina, where the air is really, really dry, from all the heat being pumped in the house for winter, it was like getting scaly. So I found some castor oil with some different herbs in it that seemed to really help with. I would only get the itching would predominantly happen in the evenings, like towards winding down to go to sleep. And so I was just wondering, sort of you talked about helichrysum. I used to use helichrysum it came with my oil about the helichrysum, talking about.
For what you're talking about, like the skin being so dry, I would do Schizandra, which would have a much stronger moisturizing effect on the skin, like from the inside out. So you take like maybe 2 to 4 drops and water internally. And over a short period of time, usually it will be very hydrating to the skin. So like you said, when they're pumping in a lot of hot air during the winter time, I would just that's your winter routine, to do the Schizandra. And then with the hives, usually the way that I start treating that is with quercetin, the vitamin C, the crude vitamin C from the health food store.
I'm taking that.
How big of a dosage are you taking?
Not very big, so
I know it needs to be big.
Okay.
Like three tablets, probably twice a day. But since it's been going on for so long, I'd say maybe 3 times a day for like a week, and then after that, go down to twice a day.
Okay, and I was seeing this functional doctor, and she had me on all these different vitamins, taking them 2 and 3 times a day, and then some other stuff like DHA and progesterone and all this kind of stuff. And I just am, and even have you heard of Mastica? Mastica. I may not be saying it right.
Is it just mastic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just finished a treatment for that, for pylori. And so, I don't have a lot of confidence that all that stuff is doing anything. The biggest thing that she helped me with was lowering my cortisol with the ashwagandha. And I still take heavy doses of that, even though now I can skip doses, and it doesn't seem to, my sleeping doesn't seem to be bothered. So I'd still have my regular sleeping. So I've gotten that out of the treatment. So the reason I'm mentioning all of that is that now the quercetin, you've worked with me enough. Is my intuition right that I need to change course with just like treatments and stuff?
Well, I mean, you kind of told me a little bit of what she's doing, but I don't know what she's trying to target or what she's trying to do. But You know, if you're taking a lot of supplements, you know, it's good to take a break from it for a little bit sometimes. And but I would definitely do the quercetin pretty strongly. I mean, that usually reduces hives. You know, even that Auric program that we did today for the allergy support, you could do that for a little bit as well. Like that would be a super good thing for you to do, because it's not so much about allergies the way we think about allergies. It's just about these responses in the body. And, you know, usually those hives are a byproduct of like very agitated responses to the point where it's causing these, you know, skin eruptions. And so, you know, the quercetin will actually help quite a bit, usually, like not every time, but usually. And like I get quercetin where it's not mixed with a bunch of other things. You know, quercetin, sometimes they'll put vitamin C, which is fine. And then, but bromelain, like it needs bromelain in it to be processed, but don't get like some big blend of stuff. Like just keep it really basic. Yeah.
So you're saying the quercetin and bromelain.
Most quercetin has bromelain in it because the
Okay.
bromelain is how the body processes it. If it doesn't have bromelain, it's usually cheaper, but your body doesn't process it very well. So you have to take way more.
So I should look to make sure that what I'm
Yeah, almost everybody has bromelain in it, but every once in a while, the only times that I've really seen it these days where, I mean, you know, because when I go through health food stores, I just look at labels just because, you know, I'm,
Well, I do too.
curious. And you know, just see who's doing what. And I do still see quercetin sometimes without bromelain in it, but it's usually a liquid.
Okay.
You know, just get some capsules. You know who has like good quercetin, not very expensive? Whole Foods. Just go hit a Whole Foods, get a big bottle of it.
Well, you know, I'm still, I take it every day. So I will look at that bottle and review it and up my dosage. So, because the interesting thing is this lady has not had me taking any vitamin C. I'm just like, so, okay, because it is never gone away, and it has just spread. And there are times when it gets like enraged and then, but it never shrinks in the coverage, like how far it has spread, and it doesn't ever go away. So it's just, you know, it's like, so even when things are calm and things are good and all that, which you would think hives would go away, or that I've changed.
Not if there's agitation in the body. Not if the allergic response is agitated. It wouldn't change anything. Yeah, you still would have to treat it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you know, you have suggested we've addressed this a little bit in a couple of the private sessions, and I don't recall this particular treatment coming up. So I'm happy to have something else to try. So, okay. Very good. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
And then go ahead, Denise, and then we do have some questions in chat. We'll see if we can get to those.
Hey, Denise.
Hi, Greg. This has been a really great class. I'm so glad I was able to be here and participate. I have a nephew that he was born kind of from a blow to his mom's stomach. So, and then his lung collapsed as an infant, of course, probably because he was
How far along was she when he was born?
I think he needed another 5 weeks still in utero. Okay. Yeah. But his lung collapsed, and then on the way to the University Hospital up in Portland, his other lung collapsed. All right. So he's, as an adult, has getting more triggered now. And I wanted to know, should I maybe try the PTSD thing that you guys are talking
You know what
about?
I would do is I would right off the bat, I would do that clinical corner out of the newsletter where it's respiratory inflammation and bronchioles, or there's single oils to choose from in there as well. But have him do that whole little protocol, because like when you're prone with like lung related issues, it's going to throw the nervous system off. It's going to make the body stay like in an agitated state. And as much as you try to unwind the different kinds of agitation, it's really still tied to the breath. And like the addressing the breath, I would say, is the first thing that we need to cross that one off the list. But that one needs to probably work to kind of hard before you would move on. And so,
Okay. And is there an oil? His birthday's like February 9th, and I could ship him some oils
sure. So there was like 3 oils and then an Auric program, and
in the clinical corner.
yeah, it was
this week?
it was like bronchioles or like hyssop and larch and all that. So choose one there, and then the respiratory inflammation, and then the things for like mucus, like like a good inexpensive choice would be like terebinth or pine. Just do pine. Like
Pine.
some sort of Sylvester pine would be perfect.
Oh, great.
And you can drop the Auric program. Just do those 3, have them do it over and over again, and see how that treats him. Yeah.
So the hyssop and the pine, Sylvester, and then I should look under for the respiratory one.
Respiratory inflammation, Siberian fir premium would be okay, but that blend works really good for the inflammation. So that one I would probably, even if you just give him like a little 5 ml roller ball or something, get him the
He would probably do that, the roller ball.
do the respiratory inflammation. Like it's a lot of inhalation. Yeah,
He just finds himself every so often getting way triggered. So he's he's kind of reduced his work and changed that.
He looks like he breathes like about right here. Like he doesn't use his full lungs. He just is breathing right here all the time.
Great. Thank you so much. Because it gives me something to work with him a little bit on, and he's trying to look for somebody to work with him on.
And you remember when we were doing, or if you were on, when we did that that thing in the influenza class, that free class, that was that 1-day thing. And at the end of the day, I had you guys inhale oil and then hold your breath and then inhale a little bit, hold harder, and then exhale really hard.
Yeah.
That would be super good for him. Super, because what that keeps doing is it eventually you're going to use more and more of the lower aspects of your lungs that you're not using right now. We used to use that on athletes, like endurance athletes, to increase their endurance, because the more oxygen they would get, the more that they would have endurance and stamina. And so it's a way of opening up the lungs and the chest for that. And he looks like he doesn't get a lot of oxygen.
Yeah, I think he holds his breath a lot.
Yeah. Okay. But it's physiological, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. Thank you so much. I appreciate
You're
this
so
information.
I mean, Donita, if you can ask and get in 1 minute answer, probably.
Yes. Hi. Just a quick one. Hi. Just a quick one. Okay. We have been freezing for the last 3 days. We had a leak and no propane. We finally got delivery today, but we woke up freezing and the temperatures outside were 0. So it's been a bit of a horror show for the last 3 days. So I'm not sick, but the body is a little bit in a shell shock, and I have a sore throat.
Do things that are warming, but also like anti-infectious. Cinnamon, put black pepper on your body. Even inhale a little savory or oregano. I'd even maybe put a little savory in water and drink it as well. But cinnamon would be my go-to thing with the stuff you got going on.
Yeah, it's just like the heat is back, but I can see the body is just it's in a shock.
Yeah.
Been
But
feeling,
the
yeah.
cinnamon's also strengthening. Like all those things will help undo the effects of cold, but they'll be strengthening and they're anti-infectious. So
Perfect. And the sore throat, that will help with that because
bay,
it's not,
bay,
I'm not
bay
sick.
laurel. Do bay laurel on it.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Okay, you guys, we got to switch on over to the Astara prayer petition blessing. So join us if you can. We're still going to be blessing the fires down in LA and the people still recovering from the hurricane, like in North Carolina and things like that. And so join us if you can. And if not, we have the 2 study groups tomorrow night. So.
Yeah, join us for the study groups. Also, if we didn't get to your question, please email us and hope to see you guys over there in just a sec.